Hi, everybody. Welcome again to the ShopNotes podcast. It's Phil, John, and Logan today on episode number 178. We're going to go through some reader questions and responses from last episode. We're also going to be talking about stockpiling, just as we're about to talk about getting rid of stuff. So it's the yin and the yang of woodworking and shop supplies. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Episode today is brought to you by Woodline USA. You know them for their reputation for providing you with professional and affordable carbide router bits and shaper cutters. But today, Woodline USA is much more than that. Whether you need blades for a planer, jointer, table saw, bandsaw, or whatever, they have the right choice for the application and material that you're working with. They can also carry many woodworking jigs and accessories to make your time in the shop more efficient. For more information or a free catalog, visit woodline.com.
There's a Woodline dado cleanout bit in that router right now.
Yeah, dado cleanout bit is something that I think gets referenced in Woodsmith almost every issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I hate a cluttered dado.
Yeah. You clean them out.
Yep.
Clean it out, man.
Yeah. It's like a spice cabinet. You just got to get them cleaned out.
Throw the stuff away that expired 7 years ago.
Right.
And you bought it for one recipe.
Yeah.
All right. Last week we talked about Logan's sawtill and also some cleaning supplies. So I want to read a couple of comments here. Mark Katz writes, maybe store the back saws alternating handle up, handle down to cut down on the overall width. You can set the height so that the blade ends don't reach the handles of the adjacent saw.
It's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Got a Key Smash user here that says, I trust what Logan says much more when he has a beard.
That's right.
Longer shows, please.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the same episode, somebody said, I like the shorter show. Perfect length.
Yes. Right. Yeah, we'll get to that. So
Can't please everybody.
Yeah.
yeah. Ryan McGregor says, as someone who owns 32 inches of combined jointer capacity, I think it's safe to say Logan is a jointer enthusiast. Logan, what do you think of the parallelogram style jointers compared to those with dovetailed ways?
The parallelogram's a pain in the ass. And I say that because I thought I had it dialed in. And then I jointed these two boards behind me for the sawtill, and there's a pretty good gap in the center, so I did not get it dialed in. So I like dovetailed ways better. That's what the big jointer has.
Yeah, it feels like everybody who has parallelogram jointer beds talks about how awesome they are, but then they also have like $45 in brass shims stock in different places.
Yep.
So I'm not sure what the right answer is.
Mm-hmm.
Boy9GGZ says, don't forget flush cut saws, hacksaws, sheetrock saws, etc. I think every woodworker has a few non-woodworking saws that need a home too.
Yeah. So, you need a sawtill just for your sheetrock saws.
Right.
I have a couple of sheetrock saws that have like a little notch in them where they may have hit a live wire at some point, and it is.
I have wire cutters like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how the nib got there on saws to begin with. It's where they.
Yep.
Just saying, maybe. Then Chuck Abel says, so although Logan knows the better way to hang saws, he's going to go with the better looking version for us subscribers.
Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, does he know the customer? And
You're
yes.
welcome.
Yeah.
You need a sawtill with the roll top.
Timbre door roll top.
Timbre door.
Timbre door.
Like your
Bingo.
chisel case. Timbre
Yeah.
door sawtill. Lost it
Okay.
there for a second, but
Yep. You found it. That's all that mattered.
I Becky'd it.
You still have the timbre door tool cabinet somewhere, right?
I do. It's downstairs. It was on the
Okay.
wall. It's now off the wall.
All right.
Because like a big dummy, I hung the heaviest thing on my wall, which is that Tambrador tool cabinet, right in front of my panel down there. So, like, when I needed to reset a breaker, like, how do you take a 200-pound cabinet off the wall? You take all the tools out of it, take it off, hope you don't drop any of your very expensive tools, or drop the cabinet on top of your tools. So, I do have that still, yes.
Bend at the knees.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, no comments about anybody's like secret cleaning or go-to degreaser, machine tool restoring kind of chemical.
Everybody wants to keep it to themselves. They don't want to share the secrets.
Trade secrets.
Yep.
Yeah. Otherwise, the prices go up.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get to our agenda today, are we going to talk about the fine woodworking shaped elephant in the room? Just ask it for a friend.
We can talk about that. You wanna give the summation?
Okay, so the summation is that we, as Active Interest Media, the owner,
not us.
Well, not us. Yeah, we did not.
We're just We're just the stepchild too.
Yeah, I mean, but
we're all adopted.
The company that owns Woodsmith, Popular Woodworking, ShopNotes, as of last week, 2 weeks ago, they kept saying last week, but it was 2 weeks ago. We officially closed on a deal to purchase Taunton Press, who publishes fine woodworking and fine home building and fine gardening and threads. Is there any others I'm missing? I don't think I'm missing any others, am I? Anyways.
Green Building Advisor.
Thank you. So now, not only do we have Woodsmith, ShopNotes, Popwood, we also have fine woodworking, which I think Phil and I are probably more excited than anybody.
Mm-hmm. Because now you can openly fanboy. You don't have to hide it. It's just all out in the open.
100%.
Yep.
I mean, we're still like the cool ones, but they're like the artsy fartsy. We went to Harvard, and we're like the frat house.
We're the legacy titles because we were here first. Yep.
That's right.
So.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It is kind of funny because both Logan and I have had our books written by Fine Woodworking's chief creative director and editor, Mike Pekovich, signed by Mike. So here's my Foundations of Woodworking. Yeah. That's a first edition signed copy.
Notice it sits on his desk.
Yeah.
He pats the spine every day.
Only because there's not a book rack in the bathroom.
That's true.
Not yet.
Fair. So that was fun. That was cool. I mean, everyone's like, oh, what does that mean? Well, it doesn't really mean anything. It's like, it's business as usual. I mean, I think all of our woodworking titles, we also have, we have Woodsmith, Popwood, Fine Woodworking, ShopNotes. We also have a business-to-business title called Woodshop News. That's kind of like caters to like the small to medium size cabinet shops.
Right.
I mean, they all cater to a different customer for the most part. Like, there is some overlap. There are people that have 1, 2, all 3, or 2 or 3 of them. But for the most part, we all kind of cater and position ourselves a little bit differently in the marketplace, which is cool. So it's just kind of business as usual. It just means that we get to leverage them and not pay them, which is awesome.
So it's just like us then.
Yeah.
Leverage each other.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Yeah, I'd say in the short term, business as usual. But yeah, like you said, we get to share resources down the road, and we'll see probably our names and their names and different titles and writing for each other.
It's from a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense because it makes us a much larger company by doing it. So there wasn't some hidden agenda to all of a sudden buy woodworking titles and dissolve them all. So that there's only one. That's not the case. It's taking, a small to medium sized company, making it a medium to large sized company, which makes the entire company as a whole a little bit healthier, which is it's pretty cool. So
yeah. Plus, I think we all the titles have different subscriber bases, a little bit different, I'd say.
Yeah.
we're all woodworking, but it's a little bit different styles and flavors. So
yeah, there's probably people out there, if this is a Venn diagram, there's some overlap in all three areas, but I don't see it being, that's not a huge part of any of our readership. And I think there's one thing that you and I, Logan, have been trying to do with our titles is to kind of expand the tent of woodworking a little bit.
Yeah.
And having Fine Woodworking does that in a whole different way. So
yeah. I mean, and I think we all know this, Woodsmith's always kind of been that plans magazine, Pop Wood. I kind of get to explore some other aspects of woodworking. Phil's been asking me to do an Intarsia piece. And I just don't want to give him the satisfaction of it. But then Fine Woodworking is at a different level altogether as far as the aspirational hoity-toity type woodworking, not in a bad way, but in the true master woodworker sense.
Sure.
So
plus I think with all of our woodworking allies, at any moment we can light our watchtowers and march on Wood Magazine.
That's true.
That's really been the big thing,
Yeah.
is being able to have that.
Yeah, building a woodworking arsenal.
Yeah. The beacons of Connecticut are lit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Des Moines will answer the call.
It makes me so happy, because there's been people who have asked me, people who used to work here, what are you going to do with another woodworking title? And in response to that, I feel like, have you never played Risk? The whole point is to get more.
Get everybody.
Yeah.
Just because you have Kamchatka doesn't mean that you don't want other provinces. So, it's your jumping off point.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and to be fair, we've known the guys at Fine Woodworking for quite a while. At least most of them. So now it's hey, I have to make fun of them in a nicer way now.
Yeah. More of a sibling rivalry rather than a crosstown high school rivalry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
assuming most of our listeners would not have heard of that for quite a while. So.
Yeah, it's possible. It's kind of one of those nerdy business things that happens, and it's going to be a real seamless transition for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea. All right. So last week, one of my main topics was to discuss cleaning agents, secret cleaning agents, or secret agents for cleaning. And just as a follow-up before we transition to the new one is, Logan, you've done classes, seminars, presentations on restoring hand tools. And one thing that there's overlap and not overlap of what if, when you're working on, say, your jointer, the big Powermatic planer, that crescent bandsaw, what's a tool kit that you would have for doing some of that kind of stuff that would differ from a hand tool restoration?
The biggest thing is there's a lot of grease. So I'd have rubber gloves and a degreaser. So generally I don't use a true degreaser.
Yeah.
So there's that. I also have lead testing strips.
Okay.
So just if the paint's lead, you should probably be wearing a mask anyways. But if it's lead, you put a mask on, right?
Yeah.
The biggest thing that's different now, none of my stuff has Babbitt bearings, so
Sure.
I don't have any of that Babbitt bearing crap. They make damming agent where you can it's like a putty that you dam up a Babbitt bearing before you pour it. I don't have any of that type of stuff. Mine are all oiled ball bearings, so they all have oil cups on them, but they're bearings. The biggest tool that's different, or the biggest thing that's different that I really like to use is I have a surfacing tool. Okay. It's a Harbor Freight one. So it's the Bauer brand. And think of it like it's a horizontal drum sander, but like,
Okay.
think of an angle grinder, but instead of having a disc, it has a drum that spins.
Okay.
And it came with, they sell it as a surfacing tool. I think they sell it technically as like an auto body surfacing tool. I think that's the intent behind it. Because it comes with a 120, 180, 220, and a stripping drum. And it is fantastic for cleaning off surfaces like the beds of my joiner or the bed on the table on this bandsaw. Like, it's phenomenal. And I was trying to be like gentle, like, oh, I'm going to use the 220. It's going to be nice and gentle, and put the stripping disc on it. And that SOB gets cleaned real fast. And it's not aggressive enough, I think, that it would. I don't believe that it would like make the surface not flat or not flat enough for woodworking. I mean, I think you'd really have to lay into it for that.
Sure.
So
is it kind of like almost like a power planer?
Yeah, kind of.
With an abrasive drum instead of blades or something?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's pretty awesome. So,
all right.
It was one of those things, like, I bought it for... What did I buy it for? I bought it to do one of these tools. It was either the bandsaw or the joiner. And I've ended up using it like on everything because it cleans everything. So like the Koenig lathe, I did all the beds with that. I did that Delta joiner I have. I did the Powermatic bed. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff with it. And it's pretty awesome. Did my surface plate. I have a 18 by 18 surface plate that I have in here.
Sure.
I did that because it started to rust in my garage. So those are really the big things. I mean, the other thing that I have is I don't want to dig it out, but it's a little like cup spray gun, but it's airbrush style.
Oh,
so it has a bigger cup on it than airbrush. So you could actually like spray a fairly large piece of equipment with it, for like touching up paint.
Sure.
And I wouldn't use that like on hand tool stuff. So that's the biggest difference is there's definitely more aggressive stuff.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting things, having done some work on my drill press, is on vintage tools. And my drill press isn't even that old. It's like mid to late 60s or something like that. Is how many wackadoo thread pitches there are. Because, like, for example, the depth stop column on my Delta drill press is a 1/2 inch by 13, which it's not coarse, it's not fine, so it's not like you can just go to Ace Hardware and find a tap or, thread nut or whatever to make new things for it. You're just kind of hosed unless you get something from like McMaster Carr, thankfully had it. But again, it's one of those things where you're waiting a few days for stuff to happen. So
was your drill press made in the USA?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember if that was I feel like that was one of the Pennsylvania ones.
Okay. Because the only reason I ask is because there are the vintage stuff I have machinery wise, except for the Koenigs, that's German. Everything that's been made in the US has been really standard sizes.
Oh, it has. Okay.
Like, yeah. Oh yeah. Like this, this Crescent bandsaw, everything's 1/4-20 on it. Everything. So the beds on the big Towsley joiner have, like these clamp brackets. Think of like a hold down we'd use like on the drill press or something. And there is a carriage bolt that goes up through that. Think about this. It goes up through that, but they also attach to the bed. So basically those two beds can slide back and forth on the base of the joiner. And 4 of these clamps hold it down. And it has these giant carriage bolts. And those giant carriage bolts, they're like a 3/8 16 or something like that. Like they're a standard thread, and they have these huge cast iron threaded knobs on them. Even the stuff on that, it's all standard stuff.
Crazy.
Which is really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, which is funny because then you get into like some hand tools,
Yeah.
and some of the threading on like the cap iron screw on Stanley's are
Yep. It's a
weirdo
weird
things.
size.
And
yeah. And I don't know why that is. Like, that's odd.
Yeah.
But on that note, Lee Nielsen, this is just more of an FYI for everybody listening if they're interested. Lee Nielsen 5 days ago released a video on making their planes, so it shows the entire process of making one of their low angle jacks. It's super interesting.
Okay.
So there's no talking during it, so it's like tool making ASMR, but it's pretty awesome.
All right. Okay. So last week at the end of the show, we talked about maybe starting the new year off with a clean out, because what you don't see is on the other side of my computer is our video studio, which has accumulated some stuff as we've gone on through the year in video props and just general debris. So we thought about cleaning up stuff. We also have a little countertop and some cabinets over here that is our shame, really. It's a place that never really stays organized for more than, 45 minutes. And so we were thinking of bringing back John's idea that he had found somewhere about getting rid of a number of items depending on what day of the month it is. So as a way to get things cleaned up. However, the flip side of that is that I feel like there are certain woodworkers, or every woodworker has something or a category of some things that they stockpile. So I'd like to start off by asking you guys, like, what's something that you kind of stockpile, that you keep a certain amount of supply on hand for the work that you do?
Toilet paper.
That's exactly where I was going.
That's exactly where I wanted that to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like having grandparents that lived through the Depression and they like keep stuff around. It's like when we get older, it's like, why does grandma and grandpa have so much toilet paper? Well, they lived through the pandemic shortage of 2020, so they feel like they need to have a lot of toilet paper.
Toilet paper and canisters of disinfecting wipes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say somehow I've ended up with a lot of sandpaper that like, it's like, that's something that I just keep around. Cause like, I'm going to use it eventually. It's not going to go bad.
Right.
So, and it's expensive. So gotta hang on to it.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing about that is with sandpaper is like when we're like here in the shop, we take off like of the random orbit of sand, just take off a pad and you just set it down and you just leave it there. Cause like maybe somebody's going to use it again.
Yeah. It's perfectly good. Yeah.
That's pretty much like all the like tools, like drill bits and stuff. It's like, I'll just throw this used drill bit or whatever that's in a drawer and come back to it later.
I feel like we do that with blades, saw blades. Do you know how many blades we have floating around?
Yeah. Like Phil was talking on that back bench. We have like a whole.
There's probably 15 blades back there. Yeah. And they're all either shot or need cleaned or
recycled.
So that's probably some of the stuff we need to go through is the bits and the blades and that stuff. And because I think we did that with our drivers a while ago, where it's like, we're going to throw all these away. We're going to start over.
Yeah.
And then it's a cycle.
Which has helped because it's been nice being able to find and know that the driver bits are going to work, rather than being like, is this the number 2 Phillips that's totally rounded off and doesn't work anymore? Or is it this one? And the answer is both. So
yeah.
Episode today is brought to you by Woodline USA. You know them for their reputation for providing you with professional and affordable carbide router bits and shaper cutters. But today, Woodline USA is much more than that. Whether you need blades for a planer, jointer, table saw, bandsaw, or whatever, they have the right choice for the application and material that you're working with. They can also carry many woodworking jigs and accessories to make your time in the shop more efficient. For more information or a free catalog, visit woodline.com.
Clearly, everybody needs to watch my video that's going to be released soon on why you only need a square drive bit.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So are we talking like supplies or are we talking like tools?
I was thinking supplies, but
Okay. Danish oil, 100%.
Okay.
And the reason is that it's kind of my go-to finish for most things. I have finished all the woodwork in here. Well, the woodwork that's finished in here is all Danish oil. So I bought 4 gallons of it over the last 8 months, probably.
Okay.
And you can order it in 2-gallon cases from Lowe's, Home Depot. One of the two. One of the two is way cheaper. And I also have like several quarts of it. I think there's actually a quart sitting on my desk behind Phil. So I use it all the time. And it's one of those things that I will use it on some of my hand tools just to freshen up a finish. Like, actually, the Dave Jeske saw I have, that joinery saw, before I took photos of it for the last magazine issue, I'm like, yeah, she's looking a little dull. So I just rubbed some Danish oil on it. So,
Okay.
I think beeswax is another one I keep quite a bit of it around. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's fair. I would say for me, it's always knowing that I have a certain assortment of fasteners in supply. You know, kind of. I have a hardware cart that has a little bin for like my number 8 1 1/4. You know, so it's nice to know that you have a good 50, 75, 200 of those for whatever. I do enough stuff with pocket screws that I usually keep a good supply of those. And then I have a couple of little compartments where I sort of hoard small, short flathead wood screws, the stuff that you use for installing hardware and things like that, where they don't necessarily all have to be the same length, but they all have to be less than 3/4 of an inch or less, you know, so that when you put something in, it's not going to poke through the other side. And because invariably one of the screws that you get with, or two that you get with some hinge, you're about to put in, and either the head strips out or snaps off altogether or something like that. So
I will say I do also have that drawer, but mine's not necessarily like that type of hardware. It's like the hardware that came with stuff that I didn't use.
Oh, mm-hmm.
So like I have a small tool cabinet downstairs that needs to come in here. Like a little, it's like a mechanics tool cabinet, like a little Stanley rolling one, and it didn't fit under. I did that vice stand on video, the one that Andrew put his thumbprint on, the wet paint. Never gonna let that die. But anyways, I connected the two with the counter, and it wouldn't fit under the counter with the casters that came with it.
Okay.
So it's like I just found those casters the other day when I was moving stuff. It's like that type of stuff, or I don't know, catches for something that I never installed for some reason or another. It's like, oh, I'm gonna throw them in the drawer in case I need catches for something. Or I've never opened that drawer to actually fish a part out of it.
I do kind of collect some oddball hardware too. If you find unique knobs or pulls or something like that, casters is a good one, because sometimes you'll have a project and need to send it off to its reward or something like that, and you keep the casters off of it. Or that's true. I can see that. So I'd like to know what the folk out there keep. Do you try and keep your shop as like a rolling or stationary hardware store where you don't have to go looking for something, you know that it's there, and then it's just a matter of finding it in your shops, whether it's in the coffee cans or separate little hardware bins or something like that? Or, what is it? That turning blanks? Maybe it's turning blanks, old tool parts. Is it time to throw away the whole drawer of unlabeled Allen wrenches? That kind of thing.
Yeah. I do have a couple of like tackle box trays, like the Plano ones, full of like hardware from hand tools that for some reason or another are just like donor parts, you know?
Oh,
like
yeah.
a casting's cracked or something, or I sent you guys a message. I was moving a shelf yesterday because I was trying to clean up in here to start taking photos today. And my shelf I was moving was from our storage room in the basement, like our utility room. And this shelf is where all my like to restore tools have been.
Okay.
Like it's like the home where tools go in the, interim between getting purchased and getting shipped out to a new owner. And I discovered I had an entire stash of hand saws on the top shelf. And at some point, I guess I'd taken handles off most of them because there was a lot of blades, a lot of handles, and there was no saw nuts. But then I found one of those Plano trays with all the saw nuts in it. It's like,
okay.
Stupid man, why do you do that?
So what's the plan for those saws? Are they...
Those are probably all like...
Because it looked like they were neglected for a while.
They're as I bought them.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That's what I mean. It's like that they're just... They were bargain bin.
Yeah. Well, some of them have stickers on them that I think... So several years ago, I bought a big lot of planes from an auction, like in Swisher or Cedar Rapids area somewhere over there. I went and picked them up. Okay, that was kind of my first real big purchase of planes, and there was stickers on some of these saws, so I must have got some of the saws from that. And they're not necessarily what I call like desirable saws. Like some of them are like Atkins brand saws that have like an embossed handle. None of them are new or recent vintage. A lot of they're older saws, but yeah, a lot of them have been.
Do you have any tool shop brand saws in there?
No, there's no tool shop brand ones.
Okay.
There are. I did find this yesterday. There are 2 meat saws in there, which is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
However, I don't know if I can buy if I could find a blade that would fit them. I think I can. LEM, who makes like meat processing equipment, they sell a bunch of blades, and I think I might be able to like rig one up to work.
Okay.
So, yeah. But
there you go.
So I need to basically include a hook for my meat saw in my sawtill. Is basically what our listener said last time.
Yep.
I mean, his question probably tongue in cheek, but brought up a point that I thought is that it's interesting how woodworkers will classify certain tools as being worthy of a special home or shrine or altar or whatever. And other tools are just kind of like, here's a ratty cardboard box.
I see no problem with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got to earn your spot.
I mean, okay, so there are... Yeah.
You know what
I mean? I know exactly what you mean, but my issue with that is not necessarily like, yeah, there are nice tools that I have that I want to live in a nice home.
Right.
But to me, it's more of like, where is it getting used? Like, I'm not going to hang my meat saw in my sawtill because it's not worthy. It's because I don't use it in here.
Right. Yeah.
I use it in the garage when I'm butchering a deer,
Yeah.
So there's that type of thing. There are, I think, instances where it's like there are so many accessories that go with a tool that you do need a home for that tool and all of its accessories. Like,
sure.
This Stanley 55 is the combo plane, has a bunch of accessories. They came in a wooden box for a reason.
Yeah.
So that's where you keep all your stuff. I have a couple of small, like nicer Dremel type tools, like a Fordham, where I have multiple heads for them. So it's like all those different heads came in their own individual box, but I don't have a good, like, I need like a sustainer type system to put all those in. So like that pack unit is the home for all that specific tool. So
Right.
I don't want to buy sustainers though.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking, like there's that tool cabinet behind you that I think Chris Schwarz had designed for Woodworking Magazine, and we did on the TV show, or some of our fine tool cabinets that we've shown, or the ones that you see that usually makes the cover of the Tools and Shops issue from Fine Woodworking or something like that. And it's these big fold out doors or whatever. And there is nary a power tool to be seen in there, even though the people who use those tools or use that shop employ power tools to a certain, to a large extent in the work that they do.
Is that because those type of people, and I'm grouping myself with those people. So
with those
I don't
people,
mean it to be bad. Yeah, I'm grouping myself with those people. See hand tools as kind of pieces of art, and power tools are not. Like
maybe
to me, like power tools are mass produced in some factory somewhere.
Yeah.
People don't really care about, I don't want to say people don't care about the quality of them, but like the people making them, they're there to cash a paycheck. Where, going back to that Lee Nielsen video I was talking about earlier, a lot of those employees have been there for 35, 40 years, so it's like they care about what they're doing. So to me, that's a little bit nicer tool. Somebody that cares about it made it, especially some of, my kind of custom made tools.
Sure.
So that's how I view it. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, it's more of a question, and it's just an interesting observation that, nobody has a big fold out wall cabinet and you see like their track saw in there, or
not yet,
or a biscuit joiner or something like that.
Porter cable 690.
Yes.
The shrine of 690s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the Pop Wood had a article, was it Bob Lang or Glenn Huey did a router cabinet that was a nice looking one.
I think it was Glenn Huey. Yeah.
Yeah. That had a, place for a router and a plunge base, and, that was well designed, more of a furniture looking piece than just a utilitarian plywood box, which we've done too. And I think that creates a nice home for it, but you don't see like finger jointed mahogany.
It's not the centerpiece of the shop.
Right. Yeah.
Although now I kind of would like to do like a big cabinet for like some of those magnesium body tools, like, or the 60s polished aluminum ones, like just restore them, make them really, really nice. And they sit in there and you open it up and it's just so bright. You can't even look at it.
Right. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
You get them out and just rev them up. So the whole neighborhood
that's
can hear them.
Yep. You don't take them out when it's raining.
Yeah.
Perfect. So if there's anybody out there who has built a nice storage system for their power tools, I'd love to see that. So you can send us photos of that. Woodsmith@woodsmith.com. We'll put them up on the site, on the show notes page. So yeah. So now, as you're filling out your shop and doing kind of a slow migration from the indoor shop to this place, have your expectations changed on what you'll be able to put in your new shop in terms of either storage or outfitting it?
So I think the bigger thing that's happened is I'm starting to give less craps about it looking really good in photos than I am about it just functioning how I want it to function.
Sure. Because
I had in my mind that like, oh yeah, I'm not going to fill it up with tools because I want it to be nice and clean for photos and stuff like that. And I think I'm at the point where I just don't care. If somebody doesn't like how many tools are in it, sorry, you go subscribe to Fine Woodworking instead. Like, I don't know. I mean, because that was kind of my plan, was to like keep it nice and clean, have not a bare number of tools, but like stuff set up with, that's the lathe corner, this is the table saw corner, that's the, whatever router table, whatever. And I still have some of that, and it's still set up like that. But yeah, what I'm discovering is, as much as I like, and Becky would laugh at me because she knows I'm like this. I like very bare, I don't like clutter. Now, if I'm not gonna spin my camera around, because you guys would all call me liars, but there's a lot of crap in here right now. But
there's clutter,
don't.
but you don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, but it's I kind of want I need this kind of falls back into what we were just talking about. I need space to put all my router stuff, or I need somewhere to put the track saw track and the track saw, and it's that type of stuff where it's those are I almost want to store them out in my cold storage and then bring them in when I need them, but I don't want to really do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, what has changed is me underestimating how much storage room I do need.
Okay.
Because I have that one wall workshop in here that Woodsmith built several years ago, that has cabinets and drawers and stuff. The drawers have all my hardware. The uppers have some finishes, stuff like that. And the lowers are just kind of a catch-all for crap right now. That's good cabinet storage, and I have 2 carts in here. Well, I have the Kennedy cart that John designed, and then I have a oak tool cabinet from, I think, ShopNotes. And those have my turning stuff in them, but it's I don't have cabinets for all my other stuff that I need to store. Just sitting here, I have my belt sander sitting here. I don't have a home for the belt sander. I don't have a home for my circular saw, which is strung out on the floor on the other side of the wall. So it's that type of stuff. It's okay, I didn't really, that stuff was all stored on a slat wall in the basement shop. It was all up on the wall on slats and stuff, and that worked fine. I just don't want to see that in photos, so I'm not going to put that in here. But what I would rather do, I think, in my plan is, after I finish this saw till, the next project is going to be a miter saw station. And I'm going to do cabinet bases on that. So instead of doing cabinet bases with drawers for hardware, I think I might do a couple drawers, but most of the storage underneath are going to be large pullouts, kind of like pot and pan pullouts in a kitchen. But it's going to be for tools. It's going to be for the belt sander and its belts. It's going to be for the hand planer and its cord wrap and stuff.
John, you got a storage unit from one of our auctions here. Has that changed or worked out for you in your shop for the things that you need to store or organize?
You mean the long cabinet from the carriage house?
From the carriage house. Yeah.
That has become kind of the hide-all. It's got all the sliding doors on it, so it's just shoving stuff in there. So most of it, is for. It's a good place to put a lot of the handheld power tools. Those boxes. One of the cubbies is just skates and rollerblades for the kids, sidewalk chalk, bubbles, that kind of thing. So it's reserved for that. But yeah, it's because a lot of my storage is very visual, pegboard, open shelving, where I keep a lot of stuff that I use. But that's a good place to keep all of that stuff where they can hide it away. And
makes me itchy thinking about that.
Yeah. Which
is why I asked, because I know it just feels like you guys have very different working styles on what's, John is a have it ready for access kind of person.
He's a practical type person, and I am not.
Yeah. Which is funny because in a sense, and in different ways, both of you are if it's out of sight, it pretty much doesn't exist. However, for Logan, if it's in your shop, it's there and you can get to it, even if it's in a drawer or behind cabinet doors, whereas if it's still in your old shop or in your cold storage section, it might as well be in Nepal.
Yeah.
And for John, if it's not hanging up on a wall or on a tool rack or something like that, then it's gone.
Yeah.
And I'm probably in the middle somewhere. I like the idea of having everything enclosed, and I like the idea of tool racks, but I just end up devolving into a little bit of chaos that I don't like about myself. So that I know that we all share responsibility for this video studio, but it feels like this is my brain out loud in here.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
You know, I think part of my problem with having stuff out, and I've noticed it more in the shop, and I've noticed it more because I don't have a permanent dust collection set up in here yet. Stuff gets so dang dusty in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, and I've noticed that, and I think that's one of my bigger reasons why I don't like stuff out. You know, I took the little table saw cabinet we had in the studio, the hanging one that had the blades on the outside. It opens up. There's blade holder on the inside and stuff.
Yeah.
So right now I have it hanging up next to the table saw, and there's wrenches hanging from it. There's a couple blades in the door. That's like a stretch for me as far as having stuff out like that. But you know, that I don't mind that, but like I don't like our tool rack we have in the studio there behind Phil. You know, we have some shelves and stuff. I can't do that in my shop. I just can't.
Yeah.
And I've actually noticed that I have some stuff out in my lathe corner. I have 3 magnetic strips on the wall with like chuck jaws hanging from them and stuff. And over there, it's more of a practical thing. Is shavings get all over stuff. So then I'm like digging through shavings to figure out where stuff is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going more. I'm going more like cabinets, drawers. I bought a large box of label holders.
Okay.
Like kind of antique looking label holders that I'm gonna put on the front of all my drawers so I know what's in them. And I think I mentioned that because when I helped my friend Lorraine clean out her husband Mark's stuff, that's one thing I said was interesting walking in the shop. Everything was labeled. So you knew where everything was because it all had a label on it, and what it was on the label, what was on the label is what was in the drawer. Which I'm like,
that's impressive.
I'm gonna try to do it.
Yeah, we've talked about watching Adam Savage's videos, and he hand labels all of his drawers, and I'm trying to decide if I like that idea or not, because part of me sees all the words everywhere as being a visual clutter in themselves, even though it's for a higher purpose. So I'm trying, like, does that, because I think about it on my hardware drawer, because I know for the most part where stuff is on the hardware drawer, but there's still times where you're like pulling out, trying to remember where the cut nails are compared to, machine nuts and screws and stuff are.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, all that kind of stuff to be thinking about as you get started for maybe some time off during the Christmas, New Year's area to do some shop cleanup, maybe escape from too many family and friend commitments, or to watch bowl games or wherever. So if you have any thoughts on organizing, storing, and setting up your shop, we want to hear about it. You can send us an email at woodsmith@woodsmith.com, or put it in the comment section on our YouTube channel, where you can check out a variety of other woodworking videos and ideas that we have there on shop carts and storage organization ideas. Special thanks to Woodline Router Bits. They are sponsors of today's episode and have a wide range of not only router bits and shaper cutters, but bits and blades and jigs for all your woodworking tools. So you want to check that out at woodline.com. We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.